All right, we are live. So, welcome back to Redefine Woman TV, and this is episode 3 of Woman Crush Wednesday. And today we are going to be talking about Black women in STEM. And today we have Sandra and LaRia. So, we're going to talk to them about their experience in STEM, being Black women, and just women in general, since there are not um, enough women in the profession. So we're going to get started with an icebreaker. So the icebreaker question is, what has COVID inspired you and encouraged you to do? Who wants to go first?
Hmm.
I can. I think just being at home really made me realize to just be active every day. So one thing that I've really tried to do a lot, at least almost every other day, is just go on a walk. It just helps me clear my head. I listen to music and podcast, or I might go with my sister and just talk about what's new in our life, and just at the same time getting away from the computer screen because that's exhausting, and just getting exercise in, looking at nature, looking at what's around me in my neighborhood. So just trying to stay active, move around, step away from the screen for a bit, and make sure I'm making that daily habit.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
How
that's
about you,
awesome.
Sandra?
COVID has taught me so much, that's for sure. I think the biggest thing is just intentionality. You don't really realize how structured your life is with work and school or like just your regular activities. And so when that structure is kind of taken away, you have so much opportunity to kind of do whatever you want, but you really can't. Like you still have to do these things. And so it's really taught me about intentionality and just a routine and structure, but like also keeping up with relationships. You kind of also have those default relationships, right? With your coworkers, with your friends in certain organizations. And now that we don't have that, you still have to keep that momentum, right? So you still have to make sure that you're thinking about people and reaching out to people, making sure you're still keeping that relationship. So intentionality has been the biggest thing for me since COVID.
Those are both really good.
Yeah.
I agree with both of you guys. For me, it has really just motivated me to get on my grind with my businesses because I definitely was treating my businesses like side hustles, and it was never going to go anywhere if I was going to
Mm,
continue to just treat it like something on the side.
yeah.
So I've been going hard, even though I'm not at home anymore working. I work from home 1 day a week. So I'm in the office, but when they're not looking, doing my own thing. When I get home, I'm doing my own thing. Like I'm up late. So I'm just really grinding, grinding, grinding.
Yeah.
Because if I really want to be an entrepreneur full time, I can't be doing my business on the side. Like you have to, put all your effort into it. So that's really what I've been doing. I've been really motivated. Just listening to different people that I've connected with through, well, not through, but on the episodes of Women Crush Wednesday and just people that I follow on social media. I've just been really motivated to just get out there and do my thing. So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that I appreciate you guys for being on this episode today. I've known both of these ladies for a long time, since high school. And I'm just excited and proud to see the women that they've become. And so I just want to thank you for being on this episode.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for the invite.
Okay, so we're going to get into the question. So the first question is for Sandra, and it is, what sparked your interest in STEM?
That's a good question. So, I actually come from a tech family. My dad's in tech, my brother's in tech, and we have a small business teaching database administration specifically. I have always been up in the clouds, so that was never for me. But I did take the class once I graduated college just because, it was something to have under my belt. Now, I always wanted to be a lawyer and I wanted to do media law specifically, having a bachelor's in fine arts. I wanted to get into media law. I worked at a couple law firms, and while they were great, I was like, man, this is not for me. So that actually started turning the wheels. Like, okay, so what's next? What am I going to do? And my sister-in-law inspired me or encouraged me to take some classes on Code Academy. So learning just basic web development. And that is where it sparked for me, like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to be able to put things together, right? There's so much that you can do in technology, and just the way it all comes together to ideally and hopefully make our lives easier and simpler. That's really what sparked my interest. And so from there, I got into software testing just to get into the door. And it has led down to a road of possibilities and opportunities. So yeah, that's pretty much how it started. It started from being, or I guess having a disinterest or no longer a passion in law, which spurred me another direction. So
That's interesting. I find that a lot of like millennials, that's what happens. Like we think we want to do one thing, and then we were like, A lot of us we just like we're creative, so we're like, okay, this structured system is not going to work. So I know a lot of people that's the same for me, and I think LaRia too. Like I think were you in communications as well at first?
Yeah, I majored undergrad in communication studies.
Yeah. So all right. So the next question I have is for LaRia, and it is, what advice would you give a young girl who wanted to have a career in STEM?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I probably have so many answers, but to summarize, it would be to just keep moving forward. There's going to be so many obstacles in the way, not only for your gender and identity and your race and ethnicity, but just, people in your ear telling you what you can and cannot do. So I would just say, a lot of people give that advice, don't take things personal. I would actually give the opposite. I would say take it personal, use that energy and that fuel to keep you pushing forward. Take the time to really see what's best for you. As Sandra mentioned, same for me, I kind of switched a lot of different roles to end up where I'm at today. And it's really because I took the time to figure out what do I really enjoy doing, what makes me happy, what makes me want to actually get up and work 9 to 5. And if I would have kept doing what I was doing 6 years ago, I know I wouldn't have been happy. So just take the time, make sure you're not in a rush, whether it's going back to school, getting a degree, certification, switching jobs, make sure you're taking your time, do what's best for you, and just keep it moving at the end of the day.
That's really good advice.
Yeah.
So I have another question kind of piggybacking off of that for both of you ladies. So what kind of obstacles have you faced being a woman and being a Black woman in STEM?
I don't know where to even start.
I think I can say one. There's obstacles, lots of them, but one thing for me specifically, and I think it could just span across industry, is imposter syndrome, especially because there aren't a lot of us in this field. So you just kind of look around at what you see, and it's white males or Asian males, and you're like, I don't fit the mold, so I don't know what I'm doing. Do I measure up, right? And of course, in every new journey, there's a learning curve, right? And so I think even just as women, but specifically Black women, we're way more harder on ourselves, right? When we don't get something the first time. And so I think the biggest thing for me is imposter syndrome and continuously fighting that imposter syndrome. And it's crazy because it's like we could get so much affirmation. And as a Black woman, it sucks because you're really just looking like, are you sure? Like, are you just saying that to keep me around? Like, I don't know, because we have been beaten down so much. But I think when you really realize, like, okay, I have this talent that I am sharing with the world, that I'm helping make an impact. It doesn't matter if you don't get it right. It doesn't matter if you still are learning. You're not an imposter. You can actually do it, and you're going to keep on continuing to hone your craft. So that is one obstacle I would say for me was
Okay.
some major imposter syndrome.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of that, when I look at imposter syndrome, I look at it in two ways. One is me doubting myself, and on the other hand, people doubting me and my capability, and me being capable to accomplish these goals and these tasks. And so, especially when it comes to Black women, because there aren't people who look like us, especially in the STEM field, it's kind of those two things all together. And so for me, going to grad school, being one of, I think, 3 Black people in my cohort, going to work, being, the only Black person on the floor. And so when you are continuing to be in that environment, you have to get away of those like negative mindsets and that negative energy and say, you know what, I do belong here. I worked for this degree, I worked for this role. No, I don't know everything, but I'm going to learn because that's what I want to do. And even if people look down on me, even if people doubt me, it's okay because I know what I can accomplish and I know what I'm here for. And so definitely imposter syndrome. But I would say outside of that, an obstacle would be, I guess it's kind of related, just not really knowing where to fit in. Like I mentioned before, my last role, I was, I believe, one of the only Black people on my entire floor out of like 300 people. And so just going into work, I'm like, there's no one who looks like me. There's no one not only who looks like me, but also close to my age. I don't really know who to talk to, who to go to advice for. And so that really takes a toll on you. And actually, and that's what I like. I'm not really big into networking, like, I guess because it's just like my personality. Like, I'm kind of like shy, but I make the effort to network because I know it's so important for Black women. So actually, just this past November, I believe, I went to this Black in UX networking event in San Francisco, and that it was almost like a culture shock. Like, I've never seen that many Black people in a room who did UX design. And it was just so amazing to be a part of that environment and to be a part of that space, hearing from people who are directors, VPs, senior VPs, who are Black men and women. And so if I didn't take the opportunity to network and go out of my bubble, my shell, I would have never came across that opportunity. And so just getting rid of those negative thoughts of imposter syndrome, I know that there's people out there who look like me, who are doing what I want to do or what I want to do, what they're doing. And so I just have to find my community at the end of the day.
That's awesome. Can I add on to that? One thing that I really admire about LaRia is that every time we link up, she's like, oh yeah, I just came from this conference. I just did this. I just did this. And it's so inspiring to me because just like she said, this is something that you have to do, especially as a woman of color. These opportunities that are usually easily afforded to other women or other, people of different gender and race, they're not afforded to us. So we have to go out there and make that deliberate effort. And so that's something that's really inspiring. I mean, and she's met so many cool people and has gotten a lot of opportunities because of that. So I think that's really great. Something else that I was thinking about is that you kind of have to choose what you want in terms of whether you want the experience or you're established in your career and you have to fight for the salary that you want, because they will lowball you as a woman of color, right? And so you really do have to fight for your salary and make sure that you're getting what you mentioned. But then on the other hand, there may be this really great place and that they may be lowballing you, but that the experience is invaluable. So you take it and you prove your worth so that you can get to that level where it's like, pay me what I'm worth because I've made a lasting impact here. So I think something else as a Black woman that we have to really decide is, how to choose where we want to be and how we want to fit in and how to really make that impact to show our worth.
Right.
Y'all are preaching right now. Somebody just asked, what career path would you encourage a school-age student who has an interest in STEM but unsure of possible career paths to pursue? Thank you for your question, Tanya.
Honestly, it really, to me, in my opinion, it depends on I'm assuming like high school. I guess high school and college are different, but there's a lot of high schools out there that have actual majors. Like, our public high schools, we didn't have the opportunity. Yeah, there was like some type of STEM initiative, but wasn't as detailed as going to these schools where you can actually major in computer science, for example, or graphic design. So if you have that opportunity, I would take as many classes as possible, really just figure out what do you like and what do you enjoy. And at the same time, which is something that I really try to preach to like my friends and family, and something that I like went through, is there's no rush in trying to figure out what you want to do. I just figured out what I wanted to do 2-3 years ago. I had no idea what I wanted to do at the age of 17, graduating college. But I took the generic classes that were offered to us. But if we had other opportunities, I definitely would have taken them. But if I had to choose a specific part, I would say the technology part of STEM, because it's just very broad. You can kind of get the best of both worlds. They have those type of degrees in undergrad and master's programs are majoring in technology or information science, information systems, where you're just kind of figuring out what part of STEM do you really enjoy, and then you can take those electives and kind of continue throughout that path.
Okay, that's good advice. So something else that we didn't really get into at the beginning. So can one of you explain exactly what STEM is and like an example of a career in STEM for people that might not know what STEM is?
Did you want to take
that? I could take that then. Yeah. So STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. And there are a variety of careers that you can step into. LaRia and I specifically, we're in technology, but it's cool because we're in the creative side of technology. So there is that opportunity, which at first when I was younger, I didn't know that either. I was just like, oh, it's just like a lot of binary zeros and ones, and I'm not interested. But we do get to experience the more creative side of technology. There's engineering. There is a huge need for women of color in engineering, whether that's biomedical engineering, electrical engineering. I mean, we just don't see enough women, period, in that field. Sciences, we need doctors, we need practitioners, we really need biologists, especially with COVID. I mean, epidemiology. So there's that, and of course there's math. Now, I know that's not everybody's favorite, and yet it is so necessary, right? We really need the financial smarts of young women, and so there are a number of careers that you can go into in STEM, and I think that even just everything that I mentioned, that is the future, right? That is forever going to be around. I think the cool thing, and I guess I may be a little bit biased, but the cool thing about technology is that it kind of can trickle into all those other areas too. So having that tech background coupled with whatever else you want to do is going to be major. And I think it just gives you that advantage immediately.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Okay, so Stacy Gold, that's my mom.
Hey, Miss Stacy.
She actually works in STEM as well during administration, and she said that she can relate to what you guys are saying about being, a Black woman working in the STEM field. And she also said, I would add for those students to research internships at STEM organizations to hone in on their craft while learning different fields. And then we have a comment from Sherrod Conley. That says, yeah, Ms. Rogers, the hardest worker I know, and 100% negotiated her salary to make sure she got what she was worth. # know your worth. Yes, support the woman. So let's talk about what you guys do specifically at your jobs. So you guys work together, right?
Yes. Hey, girl.
If I can explain like what you guys do on a day-to-day basis, like what your job entails, basically all of that. So LaRia, you want to go?
Yeah. So, I just joined Sandra's company 4 weeks ago. So I am a lead UX designer, working with. So our organization is an agency. So we work with clients. They send us a contract over. We figure out what initiatives we can do for them, and so on. And so in my role, I report to the director of design and strategy, and we do a lot of different initiatives when it comes to design. So, auditing a website and a mobile app, figuring out the pros and cons, areas of improvements, hosting workshops with the client when it comes to design thinking, content strategy, producing wireframes and prototypes, and sending it off to engineer, and then QA, quality assurance, to figure out, are we crossing our checking out everything that needs to be done in order to produce a final deliverable, whether it's a website or mobile app for the client. So everything on like the strategy and design side, I help support. And then, of course, cross-function with different roles like project managers, content strategists, business analysts, and so on. So definitely a really cool job to have.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
How about you, Sandra?
So I'm actually heading into LaRia's path as well, but yeah. So currently, what I do is quality assurance and accessibility. So I am making sure that what LaRia put together, the engineers actually did, and making sure that it's just functional across all browsers, functional across all platforms, and or that there's the usability aspect of it as well. But specifically, what I do within my department, QA, is focus on accessibility, making sure that individuals with disabilities can use, or any impairment, can use the software. So making sure that you can access things with the keyboard, making sure that things sound right with the screen reader, making sure there's not, too much content that's not able to be flexible for someone who may have cognition issues. And so really advocating for the person who needs to be able to use the software, but we don't want to make it complicated, right? We want to simplify their experience. I mean, in general, technology should make our life simpler anyway. So that's what I do.
Yes,
I wanted to say her role is so important, because I'm not sure of the most recent statistics of 2020, but last time I checked, like 1 in 4 people have some form of a disability. So you need to make sure that you're not only designing and producing a product for everyone, but you're making sure that it's crossing all of that checklist for them to be able to use it. So it's just a super important role, and definitely cross functions with a lot of different areas in STEM, especially design. So definitely shout out to Sandra for that amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Tiff Knighton says hi.
Oh, hey.
Watching. Let's see. I think there's some more questions. Oh, my mom said, how did you both end up working at the same company? Was it networking?
So LaRia popped up on me.
So I actually applied, and I heard of MindGrub from my boyfriend, and also I remember Sandra worked there, but I was like, I don't know if she still works there, so I don't want to like awkwardly reach out and say, hey, tell me about this company, but you no longer work there. So I applied, and it was like a really like cool process to walk through. And then I think like the day before I started, or something like that, she texted me, was like, hey, like I saw your name in our like allocation report. I was like, hey, I didn't know you still work there. Like, yeah, I'm joining next week. We get each other on Slack every once in a while. Hopefully we'll work on a project together soon. But yeah, it was just like a odd coincidence. I just started applying to roles, and she was at the same company, and I've just heard, such great things about the organization.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tanya Glass is asking, what qualifications and experience was required for each position? And are these entry-level positions or years of experience required?
Okay, I can start. I was already in the field. I was doing accessibility for the government, and I came here, switched over, and When I first started though at my first job, I kind of learned as I went. There wasn't a lot of like schooling for it. It was just kind of, classes that you could take like on Code Academy or like Udemy, just like, or the Nielsen heuristics, knowing how to look at a site that is actually usable. So it's just a lot of self-learning. And then of course, as you continue in your craft, you continue to learn and get certifications and things. I think LaRia probably had, some more schooling. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass it to her.
Well, I think for my particular role is more of like a mid role when it comes to like years of experience and position. But so from my background, I did almost 6 years experience in a different field of technology, project management. And then I decided to go back to school to get my master's degree, and I majored in information management and user experience. And I would say UX is definitely a field where you have to have a portfolio, which basically showcases all of your work and your experience. And so in order for me to build that, not only did I have to use the projects I did in class, but I had to just do other things like do freelancing. I at one point had a virtual internship on top of working and going to school. So just doing a bunch of activities and being involved in the community to make sure I'm proving to people, you know what, this is what I'm serious about. I'm going to gain this experience. I'm going to show you my capabilities in design. And then luckily I found the organization I'm at today where they really appreciated my prior experience in project management, because it's definitely something, UX is definitely something that kind of cross-references across other departments and fields in technology. And so I was fortunate enough to, find a team that really appreciated my experience in that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I just wanted to add another thing. You're always going to have to keep up to date on stuff and like research. And it's like, okay, what's new in accessibility? What's new in UX? What's new in design? What's new in UX and accessibility? Like you have to keep up to date all the time. So following those people on social media, making sure you follow those people on LinkedIn to be able to keep up with, the trends.
Definitely.
Okay. All right, next question, Sandra. So why should Black women or women of color choose a career in STEM?
Yeah, I think we talked about how it's the future, and not only that, I think we need to see more women in those fields because there's something special that women bring to the table. The way we think is different, right? I think we are able to bring a lot of empathy to the table, a lot of different ways of thinking, new perspectives. And I think just with the world being 50% women, we should probably have that representative nature in the industry as well. Mm-hmm. And so I just think it's also going to be good to broaden our experience and step outside of those roles that were traditionally typecasted as well. So yeah, I think there's just so much opportunity for women of color to just really make an impact there. Just also with various backgrounds too, right? Like just a young girl from, Ethiopia or, a little young girl in India. Like we can just merge together with even just our different cultures and backgrounds and be able to come together and really make something beautiful and have an impact at the organizations that we serve. So I honestly, it sounds so cliche. It sounds so like gooey, but it's like, we need to be in these careers because it's going to make the world better. So
I agree. Okay. So this question is for both Sandra and LaRia. It is, how is your current job preparing you for your future goals?
Mm-hmm. Well, my future goals is, and I'm kind of working at that right now at the moment, is to just really give back to the community and teach specifically Black youth about design. And so the more I'm involved in design work, building up my skills and my portfolio, the more I can translate that knowledge to the youth. And so I think any experience, whether it's me freelancing or me having a full-time job where I'm learning more about UX design and continuing to improve my skills, I can just be hopefully a go-to resource for the Black community and the Black youth. So I think that's very important and something that I'm fortunate to do.
It's awesome. I think at our company, we have a lot of opportunities to just be your dopest self. If you have an idea, if you're good at something, if you feel like it will make an impact in the community, just working in Baltimore City, we have ears that want to listen and make it happen. And so definitely agree with that, LaRia. There's just so much opportunity to be able to mentor youth and have workshops. My personal goals, I think, honestly, because we work at an agency where there's all departments, where it's design, where there's the UX and actual interactive designers, we have engineers, mobile and web, we have project managers, we have account managers, we have QA. You get to work with everyone and you get to pick up and glean from everyone as well. And so you see where you fit in, you see where your efforts are best met and have the most impact. And it's also encouraged, like, okay, what's next? What do you want to do? And how can we help you with those goals? And so I think that's very important to have that support and also have that leadership that, supports those goals as well. And so I think flexibility, wanting or having that desire to be involved in the community, and then of course that support to spur on your goals is very important. And yeah,
that's good. It seems like you both work for a great company that's very supportive and innovative. So that's great, because I feel like a lot of millennials and people under us, we don't, well, not my job now, but a lot of us don't have, that same experience. So I'm glad that you guys found a company that is supportive of you and your goals. What else? What else about STEM should we talk about? Those were all the questions I had, but I kind of want to continue the conversation. Let's see if I had anything else. Oh, LaRia, can you talk about so you were talking about serving Black kids and underserved children. Can you talk more about what you do? Because last week we actually collaborated on something. I was able to speak to some children that LaRia, would you call it mentoring, or do you teach?
My title is a coach. So I'm working with this local organization in Baltimore called Dent Education. And so the idea behind this organization, similar to their name and their mission, is to make a dent, allow kids to make a dent in the world. And so there's a lot of tracks, or I guess specializations. I'm on the web design track. And so basically my goal as a coach is to teach these kids, there's 17 of them, how to design for both mobile and web. And so it's just been a really amazing opportunity to just be a part of that community. The kids range from 9th to 12th grade, like upcoming 12th graders and upcoming 10th graders. So definitely a variety of personalities, ages, experiences when it comes to design. But yeah, so I would say with this opportunity and kind of what I mentioned before, as far as my future goals, I just want to get as much background and knowledge and experience when it comes to teaching and coaching the youth, so that one day I can do that myself. I think it's just so important. I can just sit back and think several years ago when I left high school, was entering college, and even graduating college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I didn't know that design even existed until about 2-3 years ago. And I think that's the most important part, is that that gap of time that I could have learned about this and could have understood what type of career this is, I could have probably improved my skills so much more better compared to where I'm in today in 2020, compared to my counterparts of, white men and Asian men and so on, who already knew about this, are already well into their career compared to me, who I'm, 27. And so that's my goal, is to make sure that even if they don't want to do that as a full-time role, major in that in college and have that as a career, they at least have that option, that they know what it is and they have the foundation knowledge to build upon that. And I really do think that design is something that can be transferred to a lot of parts of your life, whether it's in your career or your education. Just knowing how to look at a mobile app and say, oh, like, what do you like or dislike? How would you design this? And then take that into your everyday life. I think that's extremely important. So just taking my experience to know that I wasn't granted that opportunity to learn about this particular field until way later in my life. And so I want to give back and make sure that they have that same opportunity and they're learning at a young age, so they can take that knowledge and figure out, what do they want to do next.
That's awesome.
There's another question in the live chat for Sandra. Where do you see yourself career-wise in 5 years? And is there also room for growth in your current position, or do you see yourself progressing into another role in STEM?
Ooh, I feel like I'm on an interview. Okay, so where I see myself in 5 years is similar to LaRia's role, but with more accessibility centeredness, if that's the word. So really, I think I had a really great conversation on Monday. And currently, we make sure that we are accommodating for individuals with disabilities and impairments, but we don't make sure that we're curating actually from the start for individuals with disabilities and impairments. And so I think, just making sure that, okay, we're going to design forms like this. We're going to limit content on this side. We're going to think about, this person who has this disability. We, maybe we'll create an app specifically for people who have this type of color blindness. And so that really is my focus. And I don't know how I got here, but I'm in it. So yes. And so as far as my, my current role, I definitely do plan to grow in that. Of course, towards, what I just spoke about, but also being able to just equip everyone with this knowledge of like, okay, cool. When we're doing quality assurance, we have to make sure not only is it functional and it looks good from a usability perspective, but that it's also accessible. So, doing a lot of training things to make sure that we're all equipped and we're all kind of delivering that as the quality package.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions in the live chat? Because we're coming to an end.
Well, I did want to touch base on what your mom mentioned about scholarships. I think that's also a really big obstacle in the Black community when it comes to financial literacy and just understanding what's out there, what can you do, and how can you receive money to accomplish these goals. Had I would have known about these scholarships, and even certain universities have like really big scholarships when it comes to STEM, but I just didn't know that at all until years later. And so I think going back to working with the Black youth, you also not only have to tell them about these career opportunities, but where can they find funding to get those career opportunities. So I think that's definitely a huge opportunity, or I guess I should say like a gap that's missing when it comes to children at that age, is figuring out, this is what you want to do, or at least what you're interested in right now. How can we find you the money and the resources to get to that point?
Yeah.
And that's so important. That is so important. Sorry, Jess.
No, it's just sad that we don't have the same opportunities. It's really just ridiculous. But yeah, my mom was saying in the comments that at her company, she's on the Diversity and Inclusion board, and she is really pushing for them to offer scholarships. Like, she's really not playing with them. Like, look, that is offer, underrepresented students with scholarships, and she visits different universities and different schools to get, kids of color to be interested in STEM, because we really do need more representation. Because we're bomb. I mean, I'm not saying we're better than anybody else, but we deserve to be in the same careers as, other people. So, yes. So I want to thank you ladies for being on this episode of Women Crush Wednesday. So now we're going to just talk about where people can find you or follow you if they have, questions offline, and maybe just give some information about your company that you work for if people are interested in learning more about them as well.
Yeah, so I am on Twitter, so LaRia _Rogers. I'm on Instagram _Ria Rogers. And I have my portfolio website, LaRiaRogers.com. So very active on all three. Definitely feel free to get in touch with me if you have any questions. And at the same time, I'm always looking for opportunities to be involved in the community. So definitely, let me know about those opportunities.
Perfect.
I am not as active. I need to be. I know that. I do my little creep in here and there under the radar, but I am on LinkedIn, so reach out to me there. I definitely respond to messages there, and I'm always scrolling through, finding articles, finding what's new. So that's probably the main platform that you can reach me on. And it's my name, Sandra Koranteng. Oh, I don't have that there. Well, I just came in like Sandra. Yes, but Jessica can put that in the comments.
I'll link your social medias. And how about Mind Grub? How can people, get in touch with them or learn more about your company?
Yeah, so we have a dope recruiter who's always looking, and he's just very active. There's the little form that we have to reach out to anyone that you may find of interest. Just go on the website, get on our social media, Instagram, Twitter, see what we have going on. We have a lot of collaborations also with, the community, some of the major industries in Baltimore as well. So, just check us out on all the social media platforms. We're there.
Is the website mindgrub.com?
It is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Perfect. And you guys can find us on Instagram at Redefine Women. Of course, you're watching Redefine Woman TV on YouTube. And our website is redefinewoman.com. And you can find me on Instagram at Jessica Danielle. I'll link all this. And if you need any freelance writing services, you can book me as well. Thank you again, ladies, and have a great evening.
Thank you for having us.
Have a good one.